Welcome back to the Sunday Scripture podcast. We got Carl and we got Brad, and I'm excited to say we got about 15 more ministers and lay people that are interested in joining our recordings, our discussion, and near future. Tonight we're talking about John and vine, branches, grapes, fire, and a whole lot of images all packed into one story. And that story is John chapter 15, starting with verse 1. Jesus says to his disciples in a discussion that's very near to his departure, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I'm the vine, and you're the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up and thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you'll remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I've told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I've called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, my Father will give you. This is my command: love each other. Carl, which one of those statements stuck out to you the most?
Verse 17, this is my command, love each other. That's always that theme always resonates with me. I think it's that simple. And we get bogged down with a lot of the minutia in our day-to-day lives, our church life, all of those things, and we just somehow we lose sight of that command. Come on, man, love each other. I love that. She just jumps out at me.
I used what you said on the recording recently, a couple times recently, as the benediction in church on Sunday. If we love one another and love our neighbor, we'll have plenty to do. I think that's a solid one. Brad, what'd you see?
Like Carl, I think that same verse. I like verse 12 because it's a little different, and I think it's what sort of sets the Christians apart from that Jewish community. And it is about love, but it's not just love; it's love as I have loved you. And so it's Jesus sort of setting that example for them. This is what's different because they've had commandments that told them to love. It's just love as I have loved you, love as I have demonstrated, and that demonstration has been remarkably different in a lot of ways. The ways in which he included outsiders, the ways in which he reached out to those people who never would have gotten anybody else reaching out to them. The ways in which he challenged, sort of set understandings about people and about laws and the ways in which those things relate. So the example that Jesus gives us.
Carl, did you respond more as a child to rules that started don't or rules that started do?
That's kind of a loaded question. I come from the generation of rules of don'ts, and I think I'm a rule follower, so I pretty much responded to those don't rules. But it's a whole lot more enjoyable to understand what is accepted and what you're capable of doing as opposed to not stepping over a line or disobeying some sort of guideline or rule. Is it a suggestion or is it really a rule? Because if it's a suggestion, I think there's some wiggle room there, right?
The love one another, is that a suggestion?
It's a command.
I think it's
So no,
like an
I
imperative.
wouldn't count it as a suggestion.
Mhm. Do you, and as a parent, do you think you said more don'ts or do?
My daughter told my mother this past weekend when we were visiting her that she remembers me always saying, don't say can't. Uh, Learning how to ride the bicycle was her example. And she kept saying, I can't. And I kept saying, and I don't really remember this, but I kept saying, don't say can't. There is no can't. And I'm sure I got that from Miyagi and Karate Kid. Uh, no, I think I tried to be an encourager. Who's
Mhm.
the encourager in the Bible? Is it Barnabas? Wasn't Barnabas known as the encourager?
Yep.
I kind of Barnabas resonates with me.
So if you had a bunch of don'ts in the 600 plus laws in the Hebrew text, Brad, you're not erasing them, you're celebrating them, you're amplifying them with the word love.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what it means to do all of these things. It's actually to love your neighbor as Jesus has loved you.
If Jesus is using that image and saying there is a person who establishes a vineyard and does all the work required and then allows the time for it to mature and then wants an outcome, which is those grapes for then various outcomes from there. Is that love one another? Is that the sole measurement in this vineyard?
What do you mean? Like, what is the sole measurement in the vineyard? The grapes that are produced?
Like, is the loving one another as I've
Yeah.
loved you the grape
Yeah.
that is being measured?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the fruit that the hope would be produced by the teachings that he's doing and the demonstration that he's made. Yeah.
So as pastors, Joe, I always wonder if the fruit is actually the church. Bearing fruit is bringing more butts and seats in the pews. Is that what that means? Or is that misconstrued by some theologians and or pastors, ministers, priests, rabbis?
It's what's discussed. If you went to a clergy meeting and you said, "Hey, how's your church going?" You describe it. Lots of times people ask how many people are coming, and they will make their judgment based on that answer, and they already had it in their mind in the first place. Uh, Measuring whether the faithful love each other and love other people in a way that Jesus loved them is a much harder way to measure. And I think that's why people tend away from it. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's like a metric that you can measure and say, hey, we can see this, which is what people are more prone to do. But at the end of the day, I do not think that's what Jesus was talking about. Like, I think you're talking about the fruit being the depth for which people connect to God, the depth with which people connect to each other, the way in which they build the kingdom here and now, which in other words is how do we improve life here as we have it. Unfortunately, I think too many of our I'll just go ahead and say brethren, because it tends to happen in churches that are only served by men. That yeah, the only sole measurement of being fruitful is how many butts you get in the pews. Would you agree with that, Jeff, or is that
Yeah,
inflammatory?
and on one of the largest days of people sitting in the pew, my family joined me in one of the rare instances now, and will become even more rare as Addison's moving to Nashville. And as they were driving in with several churches in a bottleneck there, you're prone to just be very close to people in cars. And a fellow congregant from a faith community along that quarter mile gave Caroline the finger on Easter Sunday.
Sick. Love it.
Yeah,
Not
so
really. That's awful.
you
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so you just think she's not one that is she's at Clemson and she has a fun faith community and she goes. I'm less concerned about somebody that's seeing something 25, 30 times a year and then they see something negative versus if
Yep.
the semester got away from her and she hadn't been in a while and then I say, would you come with me? And then that happens.
Yeah. See, to me, that's fruit. That's fruit that's being produced, and that fruit is rotten to its core.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, I like that you said that. It's still fruit. It's not that there's no fruit.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
we've
even
all
worse. It looks like there's fruit.
we've all taken a bite of that apple and gone, nah, this ain't good. Right? Like the grainy inside, or it's brown and mushy, and you're like, oh my gosh. No, that's still fruit, bro. But that's not the fruit we want to be given. Like, that's awful.
Yeah. It's not fruit. This is a vegetable. But I was charged with getting shredded lettuce for tacos. And I went and I got the bag and I was gonna be a hero and we were gonna have tacos. And I just out of the corner of my eye, I saw how brown the bottom window was. And I thought, this is lettuce right here. It's exactly what you just said. This is lettuce. It just ain't it. It's worse. It's worse than if the shelf was empty. And I think that's why he's so adamant about it.
But listen, you can run with that imagery. We want to run with a metaphor. Like, you can run with that metaphor for a while, because let's just say, for example, you did take that lettuce home and ate it. It's going to make you sick.
Yeah.
And what was the potential for that experience of that so-called quote unquote believer in Jesus who was attending Easter Sunday, who decides to give the bird to somebody? If, like you said, if it's not somebody who's going on a regular basis and has an understanding of how church people interact, and that not all church people are great, like, they might never want to darken the door of a church again.
Mm-hmm.
That's done some terrible damage to the body. Like, that's awful.
Let's flip it. There was something the expert in the vineyard, it's not a, what's the word? It's not a gardener. What is the word? We were trying to come up with a word. The
vine
vineyard
grower,
master.
the vine dresser.
The vine dresser. Okay.
Something like that.
The vine dresser
The grapeologist.
He's definitely gonna do something with the vines and the fruit that's not working. But if we go back and look at that, he was also going to do something with what was going well. And you think, wait, do I have to? I thought I was doing a pretty good job. Do I have to be pruned? So let's look at some pruning reasons. Yield control and quality. Grapevines naturally produce more fruit than they can ripen. Pruning removes excess buds to ensure the remaining grapes are concentrated, ripe, and flavorful. Brad, did you know this?
I mean, yes, I think I could have gotten there, but this is where we're thankful for the Googles, right?
Yeah. Carl, y'all are in the backyard all the time. What are you messing with in the backyard?
Well, at this point, we have tomato and pepper plants that are growing pretty well and needing to get the full sun. And we have a handful of flower bushes and individual flowers for the butterfly garden. We're not pruning grapevines for sure. But if you've got so many buds, you're weighing down the branches. especially if it rains, you can get a lot of moisture, too much moisture, and then you get some rot. So pruning the excess buds will help make the others stronger and come back stronger. It's ironic. The family for whom I walk their dog in the morning, they had their landscaper come and mow their lawn and trim their hedges yesterday, and they basically removed all of the azalea buds, and they were disappointed in that because the flowers, of course, were maybe peak bloom, maybe a little past it, and they were frustrated that the landscaper removed the buds. They were gone, or the flowers, because they were gone. But they do that to strengthen the azalea. Now, some of them bloom a couple times a year, 2 or 3 times a year. I'm not sure whether their breed, blend, whatever you call them, is just the one-time spring blooming kind or not. So we may have to wait a whole year to reap that fruit, so to speak. But we're in South Carolina, so we're blessed with decent weather, warm weather, and all kinds of floral and fauna. Is fauna a word? Can you say that on a podcast?
I think you can say it on a podcast, and I think it's a word. That's as far as I can go. And I think it's the first time it's been spoken on this recording.
Mark that down, Brad. So
Yeah, gotcha.
This metaphor that Jesus is using in John 15 is something that we can relate to here. And that is, we're pruning to be stronger, to bear fruit. And the reason why I asked you guys if from being the pastor's perspective does fruit represent the amount of souls are being saved? And Brad made it clear early on in our conversation that Jesus is talking about, be in me as I have been in you, and you guys will be fine. Before we started recording, I likened it to a pep talk in a locker room for a soccer coach or a football coach to say, we've been prepping all year. We didn't change a thing this week. We still prepared like we always do. Rely on each other, trust each other. Remember what I've taught you. This is the kind of a pep talk that Jesus is giving them, the disciples, because he's not going to be around. He's moving on, and they are feeling frightened, desperate, weak, insecure. He used a gardener's or a vineyard keeper or grapeologist's metaphor to get them to stay plugged in. At least that's how I see John 15.
We got a lot of patriots, and it got to be too much. But there was this, if you watch their documentaries or any kind of ideas that they had, they wanted to severely reduce the thing you were thinking about down to just your task. So if they were pruning, it was down to the exact thing that you were going to do and the exact thing the person across from you is going to do. And I think that's an interesting comparison with the next one, vine balance and structure. It creates an organized canopy, reducing overcrowding and improving sunlight penetration and airflow, which reduces disease pressure. Brad, am I going too far? Am I stretching it too thin by saying removing distractions and the things that just overwhelm our brains with social media and TV, and then there's no room to grow. You're pulling back from the things that can harm you, distract you, or derail you.
No, I think this is the beauty of kind of what we can do with the text, of being able to take sort of what scientists can tell us now sort of about the natural world and the way in which it operates, and we can apply it back and go, oh yeah, this is similar to sort of what Jesus was teaching. Now, did Jesus have that description in mind when he was saying this? I have no idea. They didn't have social media. They didn't have the things that draw them away. Did they have distractions? Did they have concerns and cares that pulled them away? Absolutely. So could potentially be one and the same. I mean, talking about both of those points, like my understanding is that when you prune something back, it's so that which is producing can continue to produce at a high level, because it takes energy away from the plant to focus on all that other growth that is trying to occur. And so when you kind of cut it back, it allows for better and more healthy growth to occur on that which has already happened. And so you sort of focus on your strengths by eliminating those, like you said, distractions. You take those other things out so that something can flourish.
Never stationary, never satisfied, always cutting any excess to then have the strength and the will and the energy and the purpose. Resource management. Proper pruning dictates where the vine puts its energy, allowing it to grow stronger and live longer. That sounds like something you just exactly said. Hardiness and maintenance makes future harvesting easier and removes dead or diseased wood to protect the plant. Let me get real focused here. This last one. In the last decade, it's truly heated up that what people want is to determine that other people are diseased or dead wood, and they want to protect the entity. So they want that person out. Carl asked us, is this about the entire faith community and the growing of it? Your answer, Brad, was it's an individual journey that strengthens the greater good of the group. Would you say, Carl, that this is not removing humans, but removing the dead thing that's within each of us?
Well, Brad helped me understand that that's what Jesus is saying. I refer to this a lot. It's taking care of our side of the street. If we've got some cleaning, some pruning, some strengthening, some correction, some removing of distractions to do in our lives, Jesus is calling us to do that. He's calling us into account. I think it is an individual internal process and not specific humans who might be cramping your style or making you uncomfortable.
What percentage
but it's also
of the group?
So can I go off on that a little bit? That's so that you can love God more fully and you can help others more fully, right? Like it's not I would hate for somebody to hear that of being like, take care of your own side of the street, thinking about like, well, that's just being selfish. It's like, no, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like you have to be full yourself. You have to be healthy yourself so that you can then love God and love your neighbor. Is that kind of what you're saying, Carl?
Yeah, Joe, you probably fly more than most of us. What you ignore her now, but what does the flight attendant say when she pulls down that mask to show you how you put it over your face? What do they say?
Take care of your own mask first, and then take care of vulnerable adults or children. The reason I was looking at my phone, sorry, after saying don't look at your phone. That's what
Brad's saying.
Yeah, exactly. All right, this is what I noticed. This is something I saw today. This is a therapist talking about couples. After working with thousands of couples, I've seen that the closer someone is to you, the more you treat them like you treat yourself. If you're harsh, self-critical, or impatient with yourself, you'll unconsciously be the same with them. And I thought, mercy. But if you're patient, gentle, and forgiving with yourself, you'll feel that towards them too. The same goes for constant self-sabotage, living in fear or general nervous energy. They don't just stay inside of you. They'll leak into your relationships. Emotional health is as much relational as it is personal. That's why working on yourself isn't selfish. In fact, it's the most generous thing you can do for those you love most. But I saw that today. Unrelated. Now it'll be related now because I just mentioned it in Instagram's listening. It'll start throwing me all kinds of stuff like that. But
so who said that? You probably should give a little bit of credit there.
His name is Joe Hudson, and I hope he's not something that's like all. Because normally I'll say something to you, I'll be like, dude, I heard this thing, and you'll go, yeah, number one, he didn't say that. He's just quoting somebody that said that. Or two, you'll say, "Oh, that guy, whoa." But look, if it's not a good
It's good
person,
stuff.
separate the art from the artist. Okay.
Oh my God, that's my world right now. Is I separate art from artists all the time. Golly.
So my point is, the reason I reached for my phone out of my pocket while you were talking is you were just saying what you're capable of in the community if you are willing to prune the things in you that harm you, that you then take out on other people, either consciously or subconsciously. Let's look at images. I want y'all to rank them how you would use them. 1, 2, 3. Carl's going to go first. One is the first one you're going to use. Your choices are the vine, branches, gardener, and pruning. We focused a lot on that. The fruit or the fire, those that aren't producing fruit will be thrown into a pile. They'll be thrown into a fire. And masters don't tell their servants anything, but we're friends, so I tell you everything. Jesus used all of those images in this short scripture, trying to get something that would click with his disciples on his path to Jerusalem and the cross. Which one would you focus on, Carl? Rank them 1, 2, 3.
Fruit number 1, vines number 2,
Okay.
and friends number 3.
Why fruit?
I think, and maybe I'm completely misunderstanding the point of John 15, but I think that Jesus is asking us to stay plugged in so we can bear fruit.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you guys earlier what that definition of fruit is, and I love what Brad was saying.
Mm-hmm.
The concept is to love yourself and love your community as Jesus has loved you. If we're doing this, if we're plugged into Jesus, if we're plugged into God and our community, that in itself is bearing the fruit that Jesus is talking about. So that's why fruit. Um, Vine is the source. I mean, it feels like that you've got to be plugged to have fruit. It's coming out of the vine. And so Jesus is saying, as if you're in me as I am in you, the fruit is attached to the vine, or the branches. I guess you could get technical. The fruit's attached to the branches, which is attached to the vine. That's the source of the energy that the fruit gets to flourish, to have the color it's supposed to have the size, the texture that it's supposed to have. And then friends, as you put it, Jesus considered his disciples friends because he has provided them the plan, the information. He has giving them the roadmap, the expectation, the commandment of love one another. Whereas a master would the servant's not going to necessarily be plugged in and understand what the master's plan is. But Jesus says, you are my friends because I've given you this information and this knowledge, and I have taught you by example what I expect of you. That's why friends.
Brad, which one you going? 1, 2, 3.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Do I have to take the fire with the fruit?
No.
Okay. I just don't like the fire image. We have too much baggage attached to that. Like it gets lost on people, and they immediately start thinking about hellfire and damnation sermons and all that kind of sort of thing, which is just, I think, has done more damage to people than it has actually helped them. It hasn't exactly scared the hell out of anybody, or scared anybody out of hell, to be honest with you. So I like the first one. I like the gardening imagery. I like the vine and the branches, and like, for everything Carl has said, I do think I might wrestle with that pruning a little bit. The idea of giving up some good to try and be great, to kind of cut back some things that are even positive that might just need to be set aside for a little while to focus on things that are even better. I do like the fruit imagery of the next slide, and then the masters and the servants. It's interesting. So the word that's used there for servant is doulos, which actually doesn't have the attachment to slave as we do. Like we read that in sometimes, and we think slave, and there's all sorts of baggage even with that word. The friend is just more intimate than the servant. And remember, Jesus actually serves the disciples even in John's gospel. He's the one that, takes off his outer garment, wraps the towel around his waist, and washes their feet. And so that's probably tied for number 2, or maybe even just 2 by itself. And then we'll take fruit and put it on the last, number 3 for me. Do you have a preference?
I love a process. So I would, the fruit's gonna handle itself. I'd be vine, branches, gardener, and pruning 1 and 2, and these 2 would be tied for 3rd. I'm curious about what Will Malambry said in the Bible Draft episode when he chose Revelation. He said, I think it's been abused, and I would like to use it and reclaim some of the power. And I think that's interesting with the fire, reclaim the joy of throwing that vine that kind of was within me, that was holding me back or keeping me from being my full self, or an all out nothing, and throwing that in the fire, that I may continue further in life, not chucking somebody else in the fire because I don't think they're fruitful. So I still, though, I'd go process. Last thing, discussion points. And I've got 4 here, but y'all can pick from, or you can add your own. And the next slide is your primary. We've got I am, a significant thing that's shared all throughout the Gospel of John, tying back to the way that God was referred to in the Hebrew text. And then he lists several things, the way, the truth, and the life. I am is used here. That's a significant theme and could be an anchor point. Pruning branches within me. I think we've discussed that the most, so I think we got that. Jesus's departure. Are you taking this in? Are you recognizing your new role? Do you understand that when granted this role, you will forever have to prune, enable yourself to be a faithful leader? And what Carl chose from the jump, love one another. If one of these was your anchor point, Brad, if you were picking an anchor point at this moment on this text, would you choose one of these or add to the list?
Like an anchor point is like a jumping off point for sermon, thinking about the text itself.
Yeah, this is the thing through which everything I'm going to say today is going to go through.
Yeah, I can't get away from number 4. I mean, this is love your neighbor as yourself. This is the new commandment. This is Maundy, Thursday. I mean, this is all of that rolled into one. So I can't get away from the love your neighbor. I love all 4 of those, but that's going to have to be the jumping off point for me.
Okay. I think sticking with me talking about the process, I'm probably going number 2, pruning branches within me. I cut back on TV. I cut back on sports to extend Lent back into January, and work on this text and work on what I could do to learn and explain the Bible. That one's a big deal for me. Carl, you started with love one another. Do you want to stick with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling kind of lazy now because I like you said, I put my tent stake in the ground. But yeah, I want to stick with love one another.
Conviction, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I get number 2 is a close second. Maybe it's a point B, because the pruning, you got to love one another, and you've got to be in a place where you're loving yourself. What does that take? But yeah, I agree with Brad. I'm just drawn to that new commandment.
All right, can I offer a couple things real quick?
Yeah, new points or points within those?
Points within this, but go ahead if you were going to say something along those lines.
No, I got one. Go ahead.
So the I am statements, that are all in John. I just did a study on another text from John this week, and the guy that I was teaching with actually lifted this issue, or the idea that for John to have Jesus constantly say "I am" would have been inflammatory towards the religious leaders. Now, Jesus says this in this situation to just the disciples, but even they would be familiar with this. So the first reference to "I am" comes from Moses in the burning bush when he's being sent to Egypt to talk to Pharaoh, and says, "What am I going to call you?" And God speaks to him and says, Yahweh speaks to him and says, "I am who I am. Just tell him I am sent you. I am who I am." So every time Jesus says, "I am the bread of life. I am the gate. I am the good shepherd. I am," and he constantly says it in front of the Pharisees, they would have had like a visceral reaction to that, which is lost on us sometimes. Like it's like shots fired, but it's him claiming that relationship with God.
Yeah.
That I think we oftentimes lose as well. The other thing that is, well, come back to me. Go off on that for a second and come back to me before we go, because I want to talk about branches for a second, vines and branches for a second.
I was forcing y'all to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, but I'm curious about all 4, which is not pruning, which is everything I said. It's opposite of everything I just said, but let me make a run at it. Jesus is leaving, and he's the one that said he was the purpose, and he's leaving. So I'm not pruning anything. I don't even know what to do, and because he's leaving and I'm not pruning, I can't love anybody else. I'm gonna flip out. His leaving could derail every discussion point in the text if not carefully heard and executed. The tremendous scene in the FX show The Bear that we've referenced on occasion was on the primary chef, the heartbeat of the whole show, the volatile leader on opening night gets stuck in the freezer for the major part of the meal due to a faulty lock that was well earned throughout the 10 episodes or whatever it was, when they kept referencing it and not fixing it. So he is gone. Tickets for new orders are flying. His disciple, for lack of a better term, is trying to figure it out. And there's a scene where they just look at each other, and the growth that they've had across the painful elements of that season causes them to look at each other and say, "We can do it. We can do it. I can welcome people. You can tell what we need to cook. Y'all can cook it, and we can do it." Stretch or no, Brad, the bear, when he gets stuck in the freezer on I'm leaving.
I think it's a good reference. I just would have said spoiler alert before I told the whole story. Because like, if anybody's not seen it, like, you just ruined it. But whatever.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what the outcome was, but I'm just saying I'm going to go watch that whole season tonight. By the way, not tonight.
Season
I'm going to watch
2,
it
right?
I'm going to watch it by the end of the week.
Season 2, right?
Yeah,
it's the best. It is the best.
You had one more.
So the thing too, and we sort of watched, sort of skipped over this, but I look back at some notes that I had taken about this passage in the past, and there are so many Old Testament references of vines in the Old Testament, like in the Hebrew Bible. Isaiah 5, Jeremiah 2, Ezekiel 15, 19, Hosea 10, Psalm 80, but nearly all of them have the vine as not a positive metaphor, but a negative one. As like, oftentimes the vine has run wild and is out of control, which is fascinating that Jesus, so steeped in Hebrew tradition, would have used this imagery to be able to say the vine also produces fruit. So yet again, it's Jesus kind of flipping things on its head and being able to say, at least John's version of Jesus, flipping things on its head and being able to say the vine can be a good thing. In fact, you are the vine, or you are the branches of the vine. I am the vine.
That is amazing.
That's wild, right?
And
yeah.
And I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to put a note, a hyperlink to the complete Bible structure. And it's important that you put the percentage on 50 because the thing is the scale of it is so big. With a Mac, you hit Control F and you can type Vine 314 of 342. And then you can just go through them. It highlights them all, turns them green, and you can see them just like Brad mentioned. So I encourage you, when you're interested in something like that, you'll see examples like in the explanation of the book. It'll be there too. That's ramping up the number a little bit, but you can see the explanation. You can see the section that they're in, and then read notes on that section. It's color coded. So I encourage you to do that. Appreciate that word, Brad. So,
yep.
All right, well, let's cut some things out. Let's be more focused. Let's let more sunlight in so that we can serve one another. Thank you both for the conversation. Thank you, everyone, for joining with us. We continue to get more followers on YouTube. Our primary audience is on Spotify, but you get video on both. I encourage you to subscribe so that it pops up to you when we have a new episode on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening, and sermon video is also on Spotify as well. And you can see all of Brad's sermons, traditional, non-traditional service, in the at Bethel United Methodist Spartanburg YouTube page. And you'll see Carl on that bike trail, or you'll see him doing grunt work in the garden in the backyard. Y'all have a good week and join us again next time.